Mate, are we live?
Yeah, mate, we're live.
Jesus,
There you go.
one week, and what is it? Yeah, a week's a long time in sport. Tell me more, Dave. Tell me more.
Oh, mate, so much has happened.
So
much has happened.
We got a damning report, the Mclaren Report on weightlifting. We've got
There it is.
Yeah, Daz printed out, always ready to go. That's 122 pages of gold, Jerry, gold.
122 pages. It's like a film script. It's
Yeah.
like, how is somebody not in? How are many people not in jail?
That's a good question, and that's just one side of the world of turmoil here. Then we got the CrossFit side of things where everyone's losing their minds and complete overhaul there, mate. It's interesting times on top of interesting times. So it's where do we even begin?
It's the end of days.
End of days, yeah.
It's pretty crazy, but especially how the population at the moment. There's a lot of emotions running wild through social media everywhere about a whole bunch of causes.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder if people are taking the time or taking the breath just to sit back and analyze each and every incident, I guess, based in its own context, not having outrage for one matter spill over into another.
Yeah.
Interesting times, mate. I'm glad I'm off social media, to be honest.
Oh, mate. So, you know my stance on it is that I don't know how to use it, so I think I'm fairly safe. I think I tried to send a tweet from Instagram and logged it on Facebook. I don't know what I did, but something's happening. So.
Oh, mate, you're giving yourself no credit. You do know how to clear your browser history. I know that.
That's only recently true. So I got nothing to hide. It's fine. Where do we start with this? It's I think there's an overall theme of or distrust amongst members and boxers and just everywhere for both sort of sports. One is over what we'll call sort of a insensitive comment and really not taking into account things that are happening at the moment, and one is an ongoing issue that has been brought to light. Maybe we'll start with the weightlifting one, seeing as you look pretty prepared with your 122-page report there. Mate, what are your first impressions? Because I believe you've just watched the documentary that sort of got the ball rolling on all of this.
Yeah, so if anyone doesn't know, because they've been busy doing other things like myself, it's been a hectic week. Week. But what you guys can do is you can check out this documentary it's referred to as the RAD documentary. It's made by a German television station, ARD documentary, Law of Lifters, and it goes through it's an investigative journalism. It's great. It's 45 minutes, and it's an excellent job on the state of the IWF and its president and underlings and how it operates and collects money and stores money and issues fines and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We'll pick it apart piece by piece. So I recommend everybody download the Mclaren Report, not the McLaren Formula One race team. They're quite good. I'm a big fan. But download this report. Simon will provide a link in show notes.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't understand at least 3 words you just said.
Yeah, you'll figure it out. It's a great report. It's 122 pages of absolute amazing storytelling. It's incredible.
What I've got some dot points here. Cash for votes. One nice little headline here. Infiltrate the anti-doping control program. Presidential meddling in anti-doping. So those are 3 little grabs for you. Then, mate, it's there are some quality quotes that come out of that. I'm sure you were getting them ready for some massive motivational poster at some point. Yeah.
Oh, mate, it's like this guy from how do you want to do it? Let's because I'm a little bit scared.
Yeah.
This guy's clearly a gangster, and there is money being paid to a whole bunch of people. USA weightlifting comes out pretty good.
Yeah.
In terms of their relationship with USADA and how USADA have been popping people. And in the report, you'll see Hundo as referred to quite a few times in terms of drug testing, blood and urine testing. Hundo is the Hungarian anti-doping agency,
Okay.
also known as "She'll Be Right, Mate." These guys are fucking just probably the worst people that you should have drug testing. It is insane. But shit, mate. It's like it's amazing that weightlifting is still in the Olympics. Like, it's amazing. But in saying that, I mean, Russia got caught systematically drug doping all of their sports, and they're welcome back with open arms. So what we can conclude and deduce from these findings, and what everybody knows anyway, is that the top echelon are corrupt as fuck.
Yeah.
They just don't care. They're having the little guy pay for their lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, again, that's interesting. It's like, how is weightlifting still in the Olympic Games? It's like, what happens to weightlifting now if we are kicked out of the games? Like, you have a look at some of the findings in that report, and you see how people have been robbed of medals, of chances, and everything because of the things that are happening. Does the Olympics mean anything to a weightlifter anymore? Like, it's
No,
yeah,
I don't think so. Yeah, and like, it coming from a clean country, like Australia's pretty good on testing. We all know it could be better. We all know people that are doping, but it's a lot cleaner than, say, like Hungary, Croatia. Like, it's a lot cleaner than most countries, and because of that, I think, you know, there's like a tiered system. Same deal. There's no money in Australia to make weightlifting, so doping for it makes you a dope. Yeah. There's money to be made in Eastern Bloc countries, so doping for it is like par for the course, because their moral stance on it just is not the same as ours. Like, we grew up in, you know, sporting culture of everyone has a fair go. But mate, I think countries like ours should just ignore it. Who gives a fuck? But what it's then it behooves our governing authority to make a bigger deal out of domestic competitions, a much bigger deal.
Well, that's an interesting one, because obviously myself and you have a sort of a different opinion of what weightlifting can be, or what competition for weightlifting can be in Australia. I feel like that would be a shift to that sort of mindset if we were to be kicked out of the Olympics on the back of some of these findings. But I probably want to delve in. A lot of things came out of it with regard to anti-doping, but the sort of the tyrannical rule over the federations and everything.
You can say that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. How do you think that affects a country like Australia, where you would assume we don't have quite the voice that other nations would have, because we don't have the results to back anything?
Mate, and it all comes down to money. So I have acute experience in this sort of field with Australians and Australia getting major sporting events. Yeah. It's very hard because we don't have the corporate dollar here. We don't have the financial environment that Europe and North America does. So, like, Australia having a voice at the table, like, it's always, you got to reflect back to us bidding for a soccer World Cup. It's just laughed out the door. And it's not because we can't provide the best stadiums and an amazing crowd. It's because we cannot provide the viewers on TV, because we're on the other side of the world from most of the world's population. So it's never going to come here. Like, it's only going to come here if we bribe them like Qatar did. Yeah. By the way, does Qatar get to keep the World Cup?
I don't know. Do they? I think they do, don't they?
Well, they got. It's fucking amazing. It's like, so it's literally like, I'm going to perform a crime, and it doesn't matter because we get to keep it anyway.
Yeah, but isn't that the way the justice system works? I'm sure that's what I was taught.
It's fucking nuts to me.
Yeah, as long as you acknowledge that you're guilty, it's fine. It's you can come out of this better.
Must be.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
and then
that's it.
How do we build? How do we rebuild? Because I don't think, nor should they have to think about it, but smaller businesses, smaller clubs and everything are just looking at this and going, well, we are so far removed from this level. But there has to be that trickle down sort of effect from the top, at least from the National Federation, to go, well, do we take a stand now? What's actually going to change if this corruption has been so deeply ingrained? Surely just cutting off the head doesn't fix everything. Are we not just going to go back to the same sort of times?
Yeah, agreed. I don't think it does fix anything. Like clearly the IWF at the top level operated like a mafioso sort of arrangement. So you take away the top guy and the second in charge steps in. That documentary that you guys can watch on YouTube, the second in charge is like had his hands in the 2004 fourth place person who ended up getting a bronze medal through doping. And she's been on the record as a doper. So, mate, it's nuts. But I just want to pause for a minute and thank Jackie White for her input. I don't know what it's about, but she just says yes.
Yeah, it's probably because we cut out for a moment there, and she was happy.
Okay. Yeah. Well, she was stoked. Yeah, she's like, yes, they're off it. Thanks, Jackie.
Thanks, Jack. Yeah, it's
What do you think, mate? What do you think? How do we get back on track as a worldwide sport?
Yeah, because I don't know. I honestly don't know what the answer is here moving forward. You would think, or I would think, that a complete overhaul of the system has to happen. As much as it pains me to say it, because it's been such a part of my life and my pursuit as a coach to get people to that top level, I think there would be some good of weightlifting being kicked out of the Olympic Games or voluntarily removing themselves from it till we get our checks in order, basically, because it's we've been using the threat of being booted as a reason to reform, but the reform has just been fake, just band-aid approaches to maintain another 4 years in there or to appease something, and we're cutting off small parts of us to maintain what little representation we have in there. I think it's just counterproductive for the growth of the sport worldwide to keep fighting for a position that we frankly don't deserve at this stage. And it's hard for athletes. It's going to be hard for coaches, but just set your sights on something else until the reform happens. That itself should drive genuine reform. That's my opinion on the situation.
Yeah. So you're saying that there's short-sighted decision-making.
100%.
Which makes sense because every person in decision-making power is above the age of 50. Like, what do they care?
Well, that's it.
They're out of the sport. Like, all they need to do is get another 4 years. Another 4 years, I get my new free jacket. I get my new free blazer. I get to go on another free trip to the Olympic Village. Like, fuck off. Like, the sport should always be driven by the participants, always. And because why is a participant giving up their life, so to speak, because some old dude wants a free trip? Like, just go away. You had your time. Yeah. I just don't understand it. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, like, I agree with you.
It might be different. Like, there's every chance that in a week's time, less people are talking about this, and then in a month's time, no one's talking about this, and then in a year's time, everyone's forgotten this even happened. I would think people tend to have longer memories in Australia because we don't have the want and the need to view weightlifting as a whole, say for an AFL or an NRL sort of scandal where everyone's like, oh, this, that, but it blows over because at the end of the day, people want to watch the games, want to see their stars perform, happy to cut them down when they do something wrong or, cause controversy, but on the day it just blows over because they want to get back to what we do. I don't know what we get back to. I'm sounding very cynical.
But it's a different sort of sport. Like, I think weightlifting does fall into the category of CrossFit as a participation sport, the same as Tough Mudder or Spartan Race or adventure racing. Like, you're not going to, like, even golf to a certain extent, not many people watch golf unless you're an old retiree or Tiger Woods is on the comeback trail or something like that. Like, it's a participation sport. So because you look at it and you think, yeah, I can do that same move. Like I can't clean and jerk 150, but I can do it, even if it's just an empty bar. But with golf, I can't hit the ball straight. With tennis, I can't hit an ace, or whatever. So weightlifting is difficult again from I don't know, like proper sports or even AFL, like fake sports, because those sports provide role models. Whereas weightlifting, there's not really role models because there's no media attached to it. And if there's no media attached to it, there's no care attached to it. Yeah. So it makes it hard to survive in a domestic environment, let alone an international one.
That's actually a funny point when you talk about it's like no media attached to it. Well, the only time we ever really do get media is when something breaks like this, when there's an anti-doping sort of scandal at this sort of level. And how do we breed role models when arguably the world's best role models tested positive or have come back for retrospective drug tests and everything with positive results? Who do we look up to, and who do we look to lead this charge?
That's why you got to make weightlifting's got to make a bigger deal of the domestic season, the domestic competition. Make a much bigger deal out of it, and make it media friendly. Like clean up your weightlifting gym, make it a nice looking space. And then if it's nice looking, then you can take nice pictures. If you can take nice pictures, then you're going to attract more people, and then the sport can grow. But if not many people are attracted to dark, dingy, dusty places.
No, I can attest to that. So it's there's my model gone.
Dark, dingy place.
But it's it's
hang on. We've got a comment from Ruth here, which is spectacular because she's taken the time to actually type it out, and she's a busy lady. What has she got here? Globally, take it out of the hands of the sport if the corrupt levels of administration won't step aside. Independent audit and formulation of actions that have to be undertaken, and then oversight of implementation of measures locally. A lot of work to regenerate and reestablish its relevance as a sport and as a spectacle. Oh, what do you know, Ruth?
Yeah.
Nah, that's excellent. That's excellent. That's excellent, mate. That's excellent. Yeah, really good. Ruth for CEO of the world.
Yeah.
That's outstanding.
Got my vote.
But who wants to give up their power though? I want to know, because I was so excited to dive into this report by
Mclaren.
The Mclaren. Who actually commissioned the report? Do you know?
I think it was the IWF after having to basically explain or comment on the German documentary, because they were forced. And I think that again, I can't remember the exact days, but I'm sure they suspended Ayan at the time pending the investigation, and since even before the report was finalized, he stepped down, and now we're sort of beginning the aftermath of the report and the changes. So
is he in fear of whoever nominated those members of the board that nominated the report? Are they in fear of their lives now?
I might be,
because I'm in fear of it because our podcast is huge, as you know.
Yeah.
And all 5 of our listeners are aware. Yeah. But mate, this guy's a gangster. Like in the documentary, you can see that he's got bank accounts in his own name.
Yeah.
Well, he's got secret bank accounts that only he's a signature of, and at sometimes there's like $5 million sitting in there, US, which is like $1 billion Australian dollars. And this guy's doing it.
Yeah. I'm sure there are many people reading this report taking notes on how to run a very successful business, but it's
first rip everybody off.
Yeah, it reads like it went, this sport is a really, really good good cover for just extorting people and athletes and everything and getting national federations money. So it's very strange. I remember when there was the inquiry into FIFA and Sepp Blatter and everything. I've gone, imagine if they did something like that for weightlifting, you know, what they'd unearth. And here we are. It's
Here we are. But what do you think
Yeah.
is going to happen? Like in one of the things that came out of this report is that, geez, I can't remember the number. So, geez, I'm getting it wrong here. But out of 405 medalists in one competitive year across the whole competitions for that year, I think 205 were not tested.
Yeah. Well,
Didn't even get tested.
That's crazy, isn't it? It's
yeah, it's nuts. It is absolutely nuts. And the guy who's the Georgian weightlifter who lifts a fucking ton,
Lasher.
he was suspended. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he never got drug tested, which is a lot of people don't realize this. So we know this, but not many people who are on a ban get drug tested during the ban because organizations don't want to waste the money testing them because they know they're not going to compete. But if you dope once and get caught, you've now got a free reign for the next 4 years to get on as much fucking gear as possible, turn yourself into a Clydesdale, then come back and go for it. That's why I think drug bans should be life, because otherwise you're only going to come back. Plus, you've already benefited from the drug you took.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so this guy got busted, comes back, and then starts winning, and came back bigger and stronger than when he first popped. And also when he did come back, he never got tested once the year leading up to his comeback victory.
Yeah, so he came out and released something about his tests, but it was something like he never had an out of competition test. Was it? It was he'd only been tested in competition. It's like, well, you know, theoretically, if you're doing it, you do it so your sample comes back clean on the day. But you know, you go through the report and you look at where like samples have been withheld, and the deep-seated corruption that was part of Ayan's sort of influence was being able to withhold it. So who were they actually protecting? Are these guys that it was the influence so much that they were protecting them while they were on bans from getting bans, and there's just so much to it. And all I can think of is just how bad it is for all the other athletes that are trying to compete at that level, especially in this country. It's it's hard enough to get to the top of sort of our region, and then you start competing against people in the world, and you're like, well, these people are ridiculously good. And then all this sort of stuff comes out, and you go, well, this is why they're ridiculously good. I don't get those years back though. I don't get that time and effort to be competitive back. So is it a wasted venture if nothing is going to change?
Yeah.
It's,
well, you know my thoughts on that. Like
I do. Do you want to tell everyone else?
I just don't know why people would devote themselves to such a hard sport with no payoff.
Yeah.
I just don't know why you would do that. Like, just think, especially because you're an amateur sport, so you've got a job 9 to 5. Then you go to the gym, maybe from 90 minutes to 3 hours. You get home at 8 o'clock every night. Like, you're donating your life to a sport that is behind the 8 ball in this country. Yeah. Like, because you're clean. It's a hard life. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I know. I'll stick to playing rugby.
Yeah, all day long, mate, all day long. So this is just sort of one part, as I touched on a bit earlier. CrossFit world's blowing up a little bit right now. Greg Glassman, very insensitive comment. It's led to a change in the structure there with the new CEO. What's your take moving forward for people right now? Is it business as usual for most? Like, if we remove the idea that some people are canceling sort of their affiliation, everything, does the structure of most gyms or boxes change, or do you just continue trying to provide the service that you're already providing? Is there a shift in mindset?
I think there's a lot of emotion floating around social media at the moment, for sure. And I think people should just focus on their local community.
Yeah.
And let the dust settle and assess everything after that. But one person's tweet doesn't represent everybody, regardless of what people would like to think and the haters would like to think. Just because somebody says something, it doesn't echo somebody else's thoughts automatically.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very good point. And I would say the larger community, obviously condemning the tweet, but also recognizing that community is more important than just one person's opinion. And I think it's been quite a good sort of reaction by people. I'm sure they'll reassess in time, but at this stage, it is what it is, as much as I hate that phrase. But we sort of got to look to it and have a look at gyms and everything. It's the same thing for weightlifting. It's right now. Is there a time to reassess what we do? Because obviously I'm no CrossFit expert by any stretch of the imagination. Does training change at all? Do we go into a different phase now that some people might not be working towards like competition and that sort of stuff?
Oh, I honestly, I genuinely think it's too early to comment on what the future may hold. I mean, I think CrossFit's going to be around for, like, CrossFit's a methodology. It's how you train. It's the method of training people to get them healthier and stronger. Without sacrificing one or the other. That's not going to change. Whether people de-affiliate or not, they're still going to be using CrossFit. It's up to them it's up to them and their personal beliefs and how they feel. I would just ask any person at all in any sport, don't make decisions based on emotion. Always take a breath. Same as in business. Always take a breath and think about everything and get as much information as you can. At the moment, there's not much information at all coming out of HQ. Just apologies. People should wait and see what happens first before they make any decisions. Like, Dave's been appointed CEO. Greg's retired. Just take a moment. It doesn't affect your community. I can't see how it affects anybody's gym. Because the owner of the gym or the owner of the affiliate, the head coach, they represent their community. Their community is there for them. That doesn't change. They should focus on continuing to service your members and do the best you can by them.
That's a very, very good point, very strong point about the power that gym owners and everyone has in terms of their environment and how they look after people. Sort of taking a sort of a step to the side with this whole thing that's happened over social media. Obviously, me and you discussed this a fair bit because you're at me for not having a website, having 2 posts on my Instagram, forgetting my Facebook login, thinking Twitter was like a sexual position or something. It's are athletes, coaches, and business owners sort of taking their life into their hands when they're posting on social media? Is it the be all and end all for sort of self-advertisements?
Oh, mate, I think it's a generation thing. Like, I used to use social media to log on to Instagram, look at my explore page and check out scenery shots. And log cabins in the woods. That's what I would do to chill out in between.
It's very cute.
Phone calls or coaching. I would honestly. That's what I look. I look at hiking spots and stuff. Social media is not a way to validate my existence. Some people use social media as a business revenue. My companies have social media, and it's used as a business platform. Social media was social 10 years ago. It no longer is. Like, nobody's posting anything without an angle to sell something. Whether it's an influencer or a business or a service. It's like, why are you on social media? It's because you need recognition. So then why do you need recognition? Because I'm selling something. Like, if your self-esteem is attached to social media, you're fucked. You're absolutely fucked. One of my pet hates when I used to be on fucking Instagram is you see these people that would curate their Instagram like they were a catalog model, and everything would be the same. And it's like, what do you do? Like, what are you? I remember once, I think it was the day that I logged off. It was somebody's. It was this person, and they offer a service or whatever, and they offer this particular service, and they were like, just taking a break between shots. And she had clearly set up this magazine, holding a cup of coffee a certain way. The light was perfect and all that. And I'm like, you can't even pretend to be like natural in this position. Like it's everything about it is fake. Like,
Yeah.
and then that was the death knell in social media. I was like, fuck this, I'm out. Like nothing's real. Nothing is real. It's the same for athletes. So my next point was the athletes. Like, how many times have you seen an athlete post all of their fails? Maybe they're failing under 150 clean and jerk, but you don't see them failing at 50. You don't see them tripping over themselves trying to get to the platform, or like you don't see real stuff. You just see stuff that makes them look good because it's human nature. Yeah,
that's sort of part of the point being is advertising on social media, even if it's personal advertising, shooting yourself in the foot when you actually have to produce the product. Like I would worry that if all my athletes and me put up the best of the best, and only the best of the best on social media, that is someone coming to me, started getting coaching me, and wondering why it's not sunshine and rainbows every single session, that I've somehow failed them. I assume that's with all forms of advertising and media.
Yeah, I get what you mean now. Like trying to control or expectations.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm against drugs in sport, because regardless of the sport, if this person's role model is geared to the gills, and then they sign up to my gym or they want me to coach them, and I have to tell them this person is geared, you cannot do this, you will never do this, I'm the bad guy.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why I'm always will be and always will hate drugs in sport. I cannot fucking stand it because it makes my day job impossible. It's like, oh, why don't I have a six-pack like that guy? It's like that guy is eating more Clen than a racehorse.
Isn't that
it's like sponsored by Clenbuterol?
Isn't that the whole thing? It's like hard training, clean eating. Did I?
Yeah,
have I been doing that wrong? Yes. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah,
I'll cancel the t-shirt.
It's like, I know one guy. I used to do martial arts with this dude, and he was cutting for this fight, and I was like, "Fuck, dude, how did you cut all that weight?" And then he told me, and I was like, "Well, no wonder, because his skin turned to like paper, like you could see through it." And I'm like, "Holy fuck, dude!" But so anyway, so I hate drugs in sport because role models ruin it for everybody because they're not the right role model. Plus, just say use the case of rugby league, right? So recently there's this. I think his 18-year-old kid's just popped for all of these drugs that only an idiot would take, and he's playing for Cronulla. He came on the scene when he was 17, I think. Like, he's huge. He's jacked. You know, he's as tall as an AFL player, but he actually has muscle on him. He doesn't look female. And so he's this jacked dude. And it's like, well, that means this guy was on gear before he got into the system. And then that's my biggest thing is when somebody's role, when it comes out, like, sorry, let me circle back a bit. There's a lot of people that just say, well, fuck it, just let everyone take drugs.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Like, we want to see the best on the best doing the best. And it's like, well, that's fine at the elite level because those drugs are coming from a medical professional supervising and monitoring it. So in the case of Lance Armstrong, that's how he was doing it. But if a kid who worships Lance Armstrong is like 12, 13, 14, finds out Lance is on gear and it's okay, well, that kid hasn't got access to $100,000 doctor every year, but he might have access to a bloke selling some really dirty shit at the back of a truck for a couple $100. So what's the kid going to do?
Well,
he's going to take the dodgy, dangerous option. So that's another thing that I'm against drugs with. It's false expectations. It's not reality. And second, it's dangerous. Having role models on gear is dangerous. Whether it's legal or not, it's dangerous because 100%. Not everyone will be legal.
I think people miss that point a fair bit when it comes to anti-doping. It's like a lot of the reasons they exist, anti-doping things exist, is not purely based on performance. It's just the long-term effects or even short-term effects on people's health. And it's like, it's part of the safe sport sort of model to have like a strict policy on anti-doping. People obviously don't recognize that because it's like, oh, the first thing you think about with drugs is just being best and it's an unfair advantage. And as you're pointing out, there are cultural issues there that we're failing to recognize. and failing to recognize those issues is what's going to lead to, well, more doping. It's
and if you bring it back to weightlifting too,
Yeah.
specifically this, how do we pronounce the gangster's name again? Ayan. Bring it.
Actually,
bring it back to
Jackie
this.
would know. Jackie would know how to pronounce it. She's all over the pronunciation of this sort of stuff.
I'm pretty sure Jackie turned off.
Yeah, no, good.
As soon as she logged in.
Shit.
She like this dude, right? So he clearly is an old dude. He's an old gangster. He's in it for the cash. He's taking bribes left, right, and center, and he's pocketing the money. Watch the doco, read the report. I'm not speaking out of school here.
Yeah.
He's clearly just doing it as a social excuse, like, because he's mates. Like, this is his life now. I've been doing this for 45 years. How dare you question me? Well, that's exactly the reason why we should question you. It's like, how have you been doing it for 45 years? And that means everyone else around you is just as bad. Because if you're still doing this, if like, my point being, these guys don't care, because the classic example, I think, was in Azerbaijan with Baku, which you can see in the documentary, that he allowed the Azerbaijani lifters to lift dirty. Stood in front of the podium, took pictures, because they were the host. It was being done the competition was in Baku. So he was all smiles and giggles and makes him feel good because he's in the host town, lets the locals win some medals, and then they get popped again 12 months later. But everyone's forgotten that because it doesn't have the media all year round like commercial or professional sports do. So these guys just don't give a shit, because it'd be like, they'll be forgotten. Like there's one instance in the doco where somebody actually questions him at the executive level, why isn't this $20 million accounted for? $20 or $19 million accounted for? And then he goes, I've never been asked that question in so directly. It's an insult, and I've been on the chair of Hungarian sports for 45 years. Yeah, that was his answer. And then they let it slide.
Solid response.
Mate, you steal $5,000 from a company, you're getting the sack, and you've got charges coming at you. But still $19 million in weightlifting, she'd be right, mate. She'd be right.
That's the old political. That's a political move there, isn't it? The old like absorb and pivot. Deflect and pivot. It's like redirect the question back at them. It's like, do you think it's fair to ask me that question? And it's like,
well, you can be outraged all you want, but a balance sheet can't get outraged. It's
well, for 45 years it can. Like,
so we've just got a message come through from Jackie. Our enforcer has locked the door on her hotel quarantine. She's not in quarantine. She's been captive. She's been held captive, and I've just edited her post.
Yeah, but very good.
Jackie, chime in with some. You've got some experience by having little fingers. You've got some experience overseas. Chime in, mate. Chime in and ruin your career if you'd like to. That's what I'm doing.
If not, just message it to me and I'll say it and I'll ruin mine, because I don't have.
That's probably the better one.
Yeah,
that's probably the better one,
because you can't ruin what you don't have. So,
well, what do you think, Simon? What do you think, mate? Like, when you look at that report, you're a lifelong weightlifting fraternity member. Yeah. What do you think when this comes out? What are the fixes here?
The smart thing to say is, I'm shocked. I can't believe this has all been happening. But, I'll admit, for the first few years in the sport, I was very naive about everything, and all my heroes have never looked at drugs. They don't know what drugs are. They're the hardest working people. Everyone gets to where they are just by hard work. No one pays anyone off and all this sort of stuff. And then you hear these little rumors about things and you're like, no, it can't possibly be true. And then, you go to a competition and you sort of see it and you go, well, no, maybe I didn't see it properly. And then at some point it just becomes undeniable. But you become part of the problem by just keeping quiet about all of it, and just you just acknowledge it and you sort of work. And I think the honest answer with all of it is, I think most of the people that are in the know or in the sport know that this sort of stuff's been happening, and just thought nothing would ever come of it because, we use other sports as the example. Things just blow over, and now this thing's sort of blown up. But I think the same sort of thing will happen here. And I think most of the people are thinking the same sort of stuff that, you know, I alluded to before. If you're just cutting off the head of a cancer that has spread for roughly 45 years, it's not to think that people underneath aren't just as corrupt or will know any different moving forward. Unless we completely restructure and overthrow everything, there's going to be some level of corruption just because we don't know any better. We don't know any other systems, and we can't guarantee another system will work. So I think it'll be more of the same, just with different people in charge.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So that's sort of like psychology sort of stuff falls into like the Lindy effect. The longer something's around, the longer it will stay. Like the longer it'll be around for. So because, you know, this is the way we've always done it, it's going to keep perpetuating. But you made a point there. It's like, well, the system doesn't work, but we don't know if a new system will. That doesn't matter. I think you still got to make a change and try something else. Especially if you're a clean nation. So if you're Australia, then you can't play their game. So stop playing it. You know,
well,
like don't.
I was just gonna say, I feel like that's the silver lining. It's like if this does sort of level out the playing field, clean nations should have a leg up on everyone. But again, I'm not completely sold. And again, hate to sound cynical, but at the end of the day, I really.
It would not be consistent with our other episodes.
That's fair. But it's the God honest truth is I just don't care anymore about that sort of level. And again, it's sort of a terrible stance to say that I sort of want to be elite.
The international level.
Yeah. It's like, you know, again, so it's slightly hypocritical to say, you know, I want to be a leader and, you know, help as many people as I can and say I want to ignore what's happening at the top. But I'm not trying to be a leader at the top level. I'm trying to influence what I can at a local level. And,
no, I don't think that's hypocritical at all, mate.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, it's at some point I will, maybe who knows, years time I might not even be in the sport, but it's an interesting thought, and I would like to. I actually had this conversation a while ago with another Australian coach about it, and there's three sort of options that we were looking at. It was just in terms of Australia, but now I guess you can look at it at the world level. There's options. You can focus on your club and everything and create athletes and feed into a system that doesn't work. You can be at the top level of coaching and coach like athletes in a system that isn't working, or you can get into the political side and try and change the system itself. I think too many of us try and do all three at once, and for myself, I'm taking the stance of I'm going to work on my club and everything and try and influence the system from there just by producing athletes. And I'm not convinced that that's going to make any difference, but that's where I am at my point in my career is I want to just help athletes. And I hope that there are people that are paid a significant amount of more money and have better heads on their shoulders trying to reform the system. And
it's fucking awesome, dude. That's exactly how it should be. It's like, let success do the talking for you.
Yeah. Well, that's the plan.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's success, not just in terms of results on the platform, but you know, how your club works. Is it a fucking great club to beat? Does everyone want to visit it? Like, are they, I'm in town, can I come and train? Like, they're all they can be objective KPIs. It's like, well, our visitors have gone up from this number to this number. You know, like our registrations have gone from this number to this number. Our overall participation in competitions and local internal competitions have gone from this to this. So you can be totally objective with it as well. So if somebody goes, Simon's got a shit club, it's like, well, actually, fucking here you go. This is what we do. This is where we came from. This is what we're doing now. You can be totally subjective. I mean, how do you think sports conduct internal audits anyway? I mean, at the end of every year, even in like fake sports like AFL, they still do internal audits to find out where they can improve. So it's not a negative thing. It's a positive thing to be always looking at ways to improve it. And so you've done an audit of the overall environment that you're operating in Australia and gone, okay, I'm going to make these improvements, and then that'll trickle on for sure. Yeah. It's a great idea. I mean, it's what I've done with GCS and CrossFit Games athletes. Yeah. I'm not on social media putting myself in front of the camera trying to make myself a celebrity like a lot of people are doing right now. That's not my game.
Yeah, it's
I'll just let my results do the talking, not actually my mouth.
It's no, it's right. I remember when I sort of made that decision. I poured my heart out to you in a text about things and just telling you how things were going, and I think you messaged back, weather the storm, and then eggplant emoji. So that's just a side note for everyone. Majority of our texts are 3 words, and every conversation ends with eggplant emoji. So that's communication 101 for anyone playing out there. But yeah, weather the storm is that piece of advice I got from you, which actually helped.
Oh, that's good. But but the Lindy effect works positive and negative. Yeah. So if you just weather the storm, if you can survive, then you're going to be around. Simple. Like I know Americans like floating that around, like survival of the fittest business and all this sort of stuff. They throw evolutionary Darwinism at it, which again doesn't mean survival of the fittest in terms of fit output. It means do you fit your situation? For people that didn't get an education. Yeah, you can do it, which is most of our crowd.
Yeah.
Sorry, joking.
She's smarter than me 3 times over.
That's a given. Yeah, Ruth is highly educated. Yeah, she shouldn't even be listening.
Yeah, we're sorry. We're
as community service.
Yeah, everyone's down a few IQ points because of the way we talk. But that's
we're here to make them feel good about themselves.
Yeah, that's like always the
goal. No matter how bad your life's going, just come and watch us too.
Yeah, it's like for the next hour, I am the superior human being in every single way. So it's
oh mate.
Right.
But with the weightlifting thing, like your approach is spot on, and I think that's exactly what the AWF should be doing as well. Yeah. It's like, okay, IWF's a fucking mess. Let's just focus on our own house, and let's and then look at it and go, hang on, is our house made of glass? Are we going to be throwing stones? And like just look at it that way, because I think the AWF would be throwing stones at the moment. So every time the top of the organization has a problem or a fault, use it as an opportunity to look at your own operation practices. Like use it and go, okay, fuck, what are we doing? Like, are we able to I'm a very deeply religious man. Are we able to throw the first stone?
Yeah. He who is without sin cast the first stone. Yeah.
He who hasn't had a fireball shot cast the first Jaeger bomb or something. I don't know, but yeah, before you start throwing aspersions everywhere, you got to look at your own house, and that's why we're very opinionated, because our house is fucking neat and tidy in the matters we talk about.
Yeah, well, that's a massive.
Like there's massive opportunity for AWF here, and then same as everybody out there listening who's the head coach of their club or the owner of their club. Doesn't matter what the AWF tell you. Like, are you successful? Like, are you doing what you need to be successful? Like, your governing body really is their spectators. And don't forget, you're paying their fees. If you don't like what they're doing, don't pay it.
Well, again, I so much is caught up in that. It's like, let's fix the AWF. Let's fix our state associations. Like, get your house in order. Get your own house in order. If you're doing the right stuff, you will rise to the top no matter what. It's it doesn't matter unless you have widespread corruption, like has been unearthed in this document. There's nothing that can stop you, because apparently, it doesn't matter. The only thing that's pure about weightlifting at any level is results speak louder than words. So some people aren't exactly clean. So I was
going to say positive results.
Positive results. That's but you can't argue with runs on the board, and I know you're a big believer in that. So Yeah,
Mate,
get your affairs in order.
results talk and bullshit walks.
That's
Mate, I've got to, I don't know if I've already mentioned it because it's just so fucking good. But this report only started, the Mclaren Report only went back as far as 2009. And their reasoning was that there was just far too much shit going on that they had to draw a line.
Yeah.
How's that? Before they even start the investigation, they've gone, no. We've even heard on the grapevine that this sport's a fucking joke. We've got to draw a line somewhere.
That's great.
Fucking nuts.
Gotta
nuts.
love that.
And then my next favorite quote in 5.2 of the report, the 1980s and 1990s. These 2 decades might be characterized as the wild west of doping in many sports, including weightlifting.
The Wild West.
The Wild West. I fucking love that. So imagine, I want to know, everybody out there, ask yourself, are you being coached by anybody who was a weightlifter in the 80s or 90s?
Yeah.
And fucking have a think about it. Have a fucking think about it.
That's
am I able to do what you did? And yes or no, and why not?
Well, I mean, I think I've always thought that if you if you were on something back in the day, it's like you were doing it for whatever reason. No one really gives a fuck about it. But you got to be honest, because you'll destroy a generation, if not more, by telling them, well, this is what I could do. It's like, well, yes, you could do that. And yes, we're training the exact same way you did. Why am I hurt? Why am I broken? And why am I 50 kilos off what you could do? If you say I'm as good as I am and I'm doing everything right, what's wrong? Surely it's not just my mindset, is it?
But I really want it.
Yeah.
No, you can't do it. You're not built for it. But I really want it. It's like, I ain't the fuck.
Yeah.
I remember watching it. I watched an old video interview with the guy. I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy who invented the Bulgarian training system. And he was in America giving a presentation to all these weightlifting coaches and university S&C coaches and all that sort of stuff. And he breaks it all down and he's like, okay, so then draws up the format and stuff. So basically they're training 6 to 8 hours a day with a 2-hour or a 1-hour lunch break in the middle. But they're doing it on drugs. Like he says, you do this on drugs. Like you cannot do this without drugs. Like they're fucking training hectic every single session, every single lift. It's just volume on top of some serious intensity. And then this guy gets up. I can't remember his name either. And he gets up and goes, okay, this is great, but we can't train 8 hours a day. What can we do for 90 minutes every day? And he said, lose. Nothing. You can't do anything. It's like you cannot do this clean and you cannot do it if you're not putting the hours in. And the only way to put the hours in is with fucking drugs to supplement your body. Because everybody knows, and if you don't know, steroids allows you to recover faster. It doesn't make you stronger. The stimulus makes you stronger. The stimulus drives adaptation, and the steroids shortens the recovery period, so you can train constantly. That's how it works. It's not the magic fucking vitamin S and do nothing. How many amateur bodybuilders do you see walking out of Globo gyms that are juiced? Tiny little calves, big fat guts, and it's like because they're not training hard; they're just training.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I explain my gut and just tell everyone I was on gear. I don't put the work in. Yeah,
it's the insulin. Yeah.
Well,
The other thing when you take that stuff is when you take these drugs, they help rebuild damaged tissue such as muscle, but if you're taking, I got to be super careful. I don't want to say names of substances and all that sort of stuff because I don't want to give people ideas. But if you
notepad's ready.
Things, but you take these drugs, and if you've got a shit diet, guess what? You now have damaged large and smaller intestine and a stomach, and guess what? Those organs are going to grow. That tissue is going to grow. That's when you see those big fat bloated guts. Yeah. So you're not fooling anybody, especially turtle shell guys out there in the fitness world. You got a turtle shell. Yeah. Well, you've just popped yourself.
Yeah.
What are you fucking thinking? Yeah. Fuck.
So
anyway,
incredible stuff. That's that's come out of that report. Crazy times with what's happening in CrossFit. I think main theme for sort of both sports is this distrust of the top. is it safe to say that the approach moving forward is the same as anything is, just from the ground up? It's like, make sure you establish that trust and that security in your local community, and as it shouldn't be, but it is. We've got to work from the bottom up.
Yep. Yeah, mate. Great point. I think we just solved world problems.
Yeah.
Got to look after your own backyard first, for sure. And if you look at all sports, CrossFit included, all sports, it started off with two dudes kicking a ball or playing catch, and then their friends joined in, and then more friends joined in. Then they organised a team. Then they organised the local competition. Then it became a statewide competition. Blah blah blah. Then international. Then look at the spread of cricket. It's probably the easiest sport. Like it went to all the colonies that England came and raped and pillaged.
Yeah.
So all sports start as a backyard novelty, and then it grows. Yeah. So you've got to look after your own stuff. If you're worried about but then I guess then you're worrying about what you're planting. You want to build a big oak tree, but what seed have you got?
Yeah.
So if you start with the wrong intentions, you're going to get the wrong result. So it's the same for CrossFit at the moment. Again, like there's a lot of emotions floating around. People have to be reminded social media is not real, and your community is your responsibility and always has been. Just look after yourself and the people who are entrusted. You're entrusted with. Look after that. Wait till the dust settles. Take a breath, and then you can have logical eyes looking at everything instead of this emotional lens that everybody's going through at the moment. Like America is in a dark place, mate. Jesus, some stuff going on over there.
Yeah, and I think it's spreading, but I gotta say, I don't think there'd be a better way to wrap up this podcast than those words of advice you got there, mate. It's
because I'm the oracle of
yeah. Mate, you changed for a second there. You were Buddha. You were Buddha.
Whoa. Yeah. Wow, what is it? Is it old school?
Old school debating what just happened? What just happened? Blacked out. But no, that's it. Trust yourselves.
Yeah, and don't be Will Character's character earlier in the movie where he's like, "Don't panic.
Yeah,
nobody panic right now.
Keep your composure." Actually, that's not bad advice. Keep your composure.
Keep your composure. You've got to keep your head on a swivel out there. Oh no, different movie. No, different movie. We don't do that. Yeah.
But
thanks, mate. I reckon we need to have a follow up again because we didn't mention The Last Dance.
Yeah.
I think MJ is going to get on the phone to us straight away after this episode.
Yeah, 100%. Also, I think we're bringing in a new segment next week. It's just addressing why Sean is wrong about most things. So we'll ask Sean a question during the week about like Michael Jordan, or again about just why LeBron's better, and we will spend 15 to 20 minutes debunking any answer he has. So
who's Sean?
Yeah, don't worry, it's fine. It's never mind.
Exactly. Yeah. Who is Sean?
Yeah. But in all seriousness, he is alive as well.
Probably.
He's a good sport. Real good sport.
Not for long if he keeps up this bloody LeBron rubbish.
Yeah.
I've got to tell you, I did went out and I was inspired from the last dance, right? So just real quick, I went out and bought NBA 2K20, and you can play all these classic teams and stuff. And I looked at MJ's rating. MJ's rating's 92. LeBron's is 98. I'm like, what the fuck?
What? That doesn't even make sense.
It makes no fucking sense.
Oh my god.
No sense. Yeah, I had to take a minute. I was like, turn the game straight off. Well, like, this is bullshit.
There's the next segment. Simon and Daz review 2K20 or whatever the fuck it is.
That's fucking rubbish. Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
so next episode, bring in Sean to get lambasted. We've got to go through. I really want to go through some particulars on this because it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And last dance, of course.
Last dance. All right. Well, until next time, stay safe, mate, and stay safe to our 3 listeners. And
See you, gorgeous.
It's out.